In this episode of the Effekten podcast, AI agents, their potential benefits to large organizations, the process of implementing them, common mistakes made during implementation, and also the transformative impact they could have on various aspects of our lives, emphasizing the need for a balanced approach, understanding existing processes, and taking an iterative approach when exploring this technology. This is the insights from Sogeti's data and AI leaders. Joakim Wahlqvist, CTO Data and AI, Arun Sahu, Global Technology Lead Data and AI, and Karl Fridlycke, Generative AI and Digital Transformation.
Well, the topic has been out there, and a lot of people are asking me about AI agents, and that's why we have this little session of just to explain where we are and what AI agent is. So, Joakim, what is AI agents?
Well, it's the next evolution of generative AI, I would say. And if you keep it a bit short like that, it's kind of hard to explain because we yet doesn't know what to come, right? It's kind of, we know that generative AI is a very big thing. There is ChatGPT and everything that followed, and it was a big release back in November 2022. But actually, the year after, again in November, I think it was 6th of November, OpenAI released another thing in the fall of 2023, which I believe is bigger. And this is the agents, or they call it GPTs, the ability to let Gen AI reason and take action. So in its essence, that's basically what it is. Generative AI capability to reason and take actions. But where this would lead us, what Gen AI agents or agent will be in the future is still a bit hard to say, because think about if we were in the 96 right now and we will explain to someone what internet is and what that will mean. Well, internet was a thing in 96, 97, 98. We started to figure out what it was. We had some new type of behaviors, e-commerce and things, but then 10 years later, internet for us now, or 20 years later, is completely different, and we couldn't imagine what will happen. And I truly believe we are in the same situation right now. Of course, with Gen AI, and then with Gen AI agents and the ability of reasoning and actioning, this will be changing our way of life in so many ways. So it's yet a bit to discover, I would say.
So, would you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's Gen AI on automation?
Yeah, you could say that. You let Gen AI to automate things for you, to become your agent, your assistant, if you will, and be a generic assistant that you don't, like you when you work with RPA, you train or you set up a script that was focusing on one task or individual task. You could have many RPAs, but the agents will be able to accomplish a lot of things for you because you give them a persona and they act on that persona and they reason and take the action, of course, that you let it to be.
And we will have some examples later. But Arun, we were talking about this before we started recording, and one subject that came up was it's all about large action models. Explain. Explain.
Yes. So yeah, we have been talking about this AI agents, but at the end, I mean, it's the large action models that we are talking about, and they are advanced. I mean, they are the really advanced system that are designed to understand the intent of the user, translate their intentions and convert them into actions. And this includes the reasoning. I mean, maybe take an example from booking dinner to doing very complex decisions based on data analysis. And how do they do it? I mean, it's like they achieve it through learning from various extensive data sets containing like user actions, what we have done in the past, enabling strategic planning, like understanding, and really a proactive real-time actions that takes place. So this combined together is the large action model that we are talking about.
And Karl, you and I have been talking about Gen AI before, and the word revolution is there when we talk about Gen I.
Yeah, it's
Is it revolution times two now, or what?
the thing is, as Joakim mentioned, we don't really know. We just know that there's something really amazing just beyond the horizon. With many of the big tech revolutions throughout the years, we have seen a revolution that follows. We have heard these examples many times, but given like early 80s operating systems, they gave us the PC revolution. Mid 90s, we got the browsers that led to the internet revolution. 2007 smartphones, we can go on and on, but now we are at a state where it's like we don't know. We have just seen the tech breakthrough with starting with LLMs, and now we are at LAMs, but we don't know what revolution which follows. What we do know and what we have seen, even if it's very early on, it's going to fundamentally change how we interact with technology forever. And some people might say, hey, you can compare this to internet, you can compare this to other really big breakthroughs. I would argue that you can compare this with electricity. It's that big. It will fundamentally change everything. And we got to be there on the journey.
And then we have to take the question here, Joakim, about being afraid or not for this, because seeing AI on automation, I'm afraid. Should I be that?
Oh, you are. Interesting. So I think we should be cautious and try to understand as much as possible how this works, because it's very natural to be afraid, which we don't understand, which we don't really figure out what's happening in the background. So we need to educate ourselves, create awareness, and run a lot of trainings on this. But as well, I think it's quite natural, because we have seen this in the past, right? When AI have been a thing since the mid 50s, but the last big entry point of AI in 2016 and AlphaGo and everything, the big players in the IT market didn't want to say AI. So they called it cognitive services instead, because they thought that it was a doomsday scenario. Everyone have seen the Hollywood movies. And now maybe we are in the similar situation here. We talk about agents, and agent could be, well, Mr. Smith and other agents in the past in the videos, which may frighten you. But we should be positive, so skeptimistic. So basically, make sure that we understand, but also make sure that we utilize this kind of technology to the greater good, and figure out how should we use it in our organization and in our private life, because the technology is there. It will be used, and some will actually use it for bad. I'm sure that those kind of people exist, but we need to make sure that we use it for the good, and the technology is just another tool. It's a very advanced tool, but for sure it can help us with a lot of things.
Yeah, but regulations here, the politicians, and we have the AI Act, and we are talking about ethics, trust, the guidelines, and so forth.
Yeah.
There are rules here. There are coming rules and laws.
Yeah, and European Union, as you mentioned, there was the first one out with the AI Act, which is a very comprehensive new law. I think it's 360 pages something, with instructions and things that you need to commit to if you are building AI solution. So it's very good that it's now out there. It will be rolled out actually in the coming 2 years. And it's basically based on some ethical principles. So being transparent that this is actually an AI, and being transparent how it works, how it take the different reasoning in the back end. It's about being fair. It should be sustainable. There is a lot of different ethical principles that you should follow, depending a bit on what type of role you have in the market, and depending on the risk level of the use case. So I think it's very good that we now have this framework, and we can start to work, everyone who work in AI, towards fulfilling these ethical principles. And that's, of course, something we have been working on for many years. The ethical principles have been there at least 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, but going back to AI agents then, and some examples, Karl, can you give us some current, maybe current AI agents that you can point at that that's a good
Yeah, of
example?
course. Of course. So when we talk about large action models, we talk about it, and it seems to be like one technology, but it's actually many different technologies that are utilized in order uh, uh, to combine as a capability, more or less. So you need different technologies to solve like interaction, orchestration, and actions as well. And the actions are key here in the large action models. And as Arun pointed out, one of the big differences to like regular automation is the possibility also to have predictions and have proactive agents that can actually reason and come up with predictions before you actually let them know. But do we have any like live examples? We actually do. There are, I would say that there are two good examples, but they're really early. They're still very early. There is this consumer device called the Rabbit R1. It's a small physical device it's an AI first, but it's actually a large action model. It does exactly what this description is. You can give it not only ask for uh, things we've seen in LLMs, but you can actually ask it to take action, like book Uber ride or whatever it could be. But I think like best um, the, the best thing to talk about right now in order to understand it would probably be Apple Intelligence. Because what Apple Intelligence is doing, they are calling their AI solution Apple Intelligence. Of course, they need to brand it. Makes totally sense if you're Apple. But what they're doing, they're also harnessing something that is crucial in order to have a really good large action model, and that is the awareness of your personal data. What can you do with that? You can do a lot. You understand the context. So, for example, if I say to my personal assistant, I'm not going to go to the dinner party tonight. Maybe that has an add-on effect on other activities or other communications, or it collides with other things you have scheduled, or it could be a bunch of different things. So then the large action models can use the awareness of your situation and all of this to take appropriate actions. So I would say that those are two like consumer devices or services that today is a good example. And especially Apple leveraging the on-the-device personal data. That's a real game changer when it comes to like personalize your experience.
And Arun, if we look ahead and look at other examples that you have seen in large organizations, can you give us some example there?
Absolutely. I mean, Carl talked about the personal data that comes into the play through Apple devices, Apple Intelligence. I mean, there's these organization. I mean, they process a lot of data in terms of making decisions. And when it comes to large action model, I mean, one of the classic examples is Airline. So when there is a disruption, okay, there is delays in the airline due to various factors, maybe weather, maybe crew, maybe logistics, or whatever it is. So there is a set of different units that actually work on managing that disruption. So maybe a crew management, parking, fuel, food, maybe an airline agent. I mean, who is trying to book people who are getting delayed, and there is a connection that they are going to miss out, and there are various factors, maybe like the cost management. I mean, the airline would take into consideration if someone has been paying X to for a ticket, and then the rebooking into different flight, they need to see if that can be as close to X that it can be, or it cannot be 3x times, and so on. So there are various factors. So to do so, there are various departments that work together, and imagine these departments converted into agents who can take this intent of managing a disruption and work together with each other to come with a very viable plan that would be optimized depending on all the factors. I mean, that's something that can that can make a big impact to this entire airline industry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Joakim, and hearing these examples and how it works and tell us how I should start as a company making AI agents. For me, it sounds like we have to figure out in the processes that we have in our organization, and we can look at the processes and see here is something we can make it easier with an agent, with AI. I don't think that we were talking about new systems here. It's something that helps in a current process. Am I wrong, or am I right, or am I?
No, I think you're definitely right. It's the current process, and it could also be some new process, right? New capabilities can create new ways of working. So of course, it's a lot about ideation, working with some kind of process. We have something we call Thinkabator. We have design thinking, different techniques to run workshops to make sure that you ideate and find these really good examples. And we normally really truly believe that our clients actually have all these fantastic ideas of what can be done. They understand their opportunities. They also of course also understand the challenges. So the ideas is there. We just need to harness all those and try to understand which is the right one, what gives the right value. And we used to talk about the concept in Sogeti about get it going, get it done, and get it bigger. So we wanted something to start. So get it going, figure out what is the right value. Does it actually work? Can we do this? And then take something forward and get it done. Because we've seen so many times that a lot of organization in AI or innovation area in general get stuck and kind of tries a lot of things and doesn't dare to really say, okay, let's do this and do it for real and get that done. And then, of course, get it bigger and continuously work on this later on. So I think that's a concept that we normally use, that get it going, get it done, and then get it bigger.
Arun, that sounds fantastic. Joakim is saying just start, but you have to understand a little bit more in your organization, maybe, or.
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, the key is to understand your landscape first. What do you have? How you are spread out, how your system interact with each other, and that becomes the key to put that foundation of what your agent would be and what your agent ecosystem would like to be, because then you define the personas of the agents that knows that, okay, this is my role, this is my area of action, this is the interaction that I do. Though it would be very dynamic, it would be adapting to the changes, but still the important and the first thing is to understand your landscape, and then you can get it started.
Yes, and Karl, the day-to-day work, like how do I build this team? How do I make the products or make AI agents in the organization? What's the how should I build it? What's the team? How should I do it?
It's a great question. So getting started, well, it sounds easy, but what do we do? you need, of course, to have the knowledge in order to do it in a safe way. We talked about security, guardrails, all of those things, rules and regulations. So if you don't have that sort of knowledge in-house, you should partner up with someone, of course, who can be your partner in this. But I like the analogy of like building a team as if it were humans. So this is not something you could do on your own unless you are familiar with the technologies. But the thought process is quite easy, to be honest. When you staff traditional agile team today, what do you need? Well, you need all the required skills in order to create capable of delivering a potential shippable product on the end of the increment. That's like what's been told in the Agile Manifesto for 20, 30 years now. So, but it's kind of the same thing here, where we think about the AI agents actually in the same way. It might sound scary at first, but they're actually the same way. They are giving different personas with different intent, and their collaboration will make the actions happen in the way it's supposed to. There are also dedicated agents that will also solve your communication needs, because if you walk into a room and you have 30 people talking, and it's kind of hard to understand, okay, who am I going to listen to? Everybody has something to say in this. So you need someone to gather all the information and present it to you in a way that makes sense. So that's one type of agent that supports the orchestration in terms of your communication needs. So, but if you have that mental picture in your head that, hey, I'm building an agile team and I need all the required skill sets in order to do this. So I think that helps you.
Everything is new, but it isn't. It is the same way of work. So Joakim, a question could be at the end here now, what do people do wrong when they start making a project around AI agent?
Well, that was a very interesting question. So I think what we may be doing wrong is that they don't think big enough. I think we need to somehow get out of our normal way of thinking of how things work, and try to actually get out of the boundaries that we may be able to automate things which is completely unautomatable before. If you look at the current tool stack, that could be one thing that we do wrong. And I also think, well, now this is early on, so it's totally understandable, but I think we can actually start and do more on this technology already now, because we see it works. It's rather amazing, actually, that it works. You couldn't think about something like this 2 or 3 years ago. And now we see that this is possible to do. Agents is there, Gen AI is there, and it can reason. It can create an action plan. It can even do prediction what will happen if I execute this action, and then come back and update the action plan and reason based on those predictions, and then take the action. So it's already now very advanced. So I think we shouldn't hesitate. We should really try and understand how this can work for us.
Yeah, if I can just add to what Joakim said, one other thing that we also need to keep in mind is the definition of what an agent is and a functionality is. So we need to clearly define an agent and the capabilities that it should be doing. I mean, we should not be thinking about each capability can be an agent. So there is a clear demarcation of what an agent is and what are the capabilities that it should possess.
There is a lot to take in, and the AI agents in 20 minutes. Have a look in the blog post near this recording. You will see more links to different materials and more of from you guys, and what you can read about in reports and so forth. Is there something that we should add at the end now that we haven't talked about?
I think we should be staying positive and stay curious about this technology. I think that's
Carl.
Curious is the word here, because the thing is,
Stay positive.
yeah, stay positive. And we started off this whole conversation with like, okay, how should we approach this? And I think we're back to that one. We should be, of course, a bit cautious, but we should get started, because there's amazing opportunities. And yeah, it might sound a bit ridiculous to say that the possibilities are endless, but they really are. I think there are ways that we can utilize this technology and the revolution that follows in a way that is really hard to perceive right now. There will be new ways of working that we haven't really seen.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Arun. Thank you, Joakim.